Welcome to the Utah Manufacturers Association, UMA on the Hill. This is our inaugural podcast video piece of our legislative report. My name is Todd Bingham. I'm the president and CEO of the Utah Manufacturers Association. Welcome. Glad you could be here and attend and watch what we're doing today. January 19th of this past week, our 2021 Utah legislative session began, and in somewhat of a different format this year than we typically see, virtually, for some different reasons. A lot for the pandemic and the COVID, the ability to protect our legislature and get them back to work and working on the items and focus that they have. So it's been somewhat of an interesting week as we go into the legislative session. Generally, we would be, as an organization, up there on the Hill and focusing on a lot of those things that are going on legislatively, the opening of the session, the governor last night gave his state of the state, and many of those things we would traditionally be participating in as an organization. However, this year, with everything being virtual and the Capitol complex being closed this week, we obviously were not participating in that. So we'll see. There's hope that the session will open up to the public next week, and that we'll be back up on the Hill as an organization in person, representing manufacturing across the state. It's our privilege as an organization to be involved in that. We've been doing that since 1915 as the voice of the manufacturing industry. And as you all know, our mission is to strengthen and to connect Utah's makers. So I want to talk just briefly today about some of the issues that are popping up at the legislature, some of the things we anticipate that we'll be seeing this year, things that we as an organization will be watching and testifying on, and again, trying to protect and enhance the business climate in the state of Utah to be beneficial for manufacturers. So currently, as an organization, we're already tracking 57 bills. Those are bills that either, in many cases, went through the legislative process in the interim and are committee bills, or bills that have been drafted early in the process and are now up and available for us to get our hands on and read and review. Our Utah Manufacturers Association Legislative Committee met for the first time this week and identified those bills. Every day there are more bills that are being added onto that list, and that list of bills will be online and updated on a daily basis, so that our companies, you can go in and click on those hyperlinks, go look at those bills and evaluate what UMA's position is on those bills, and what we're following and what are our big issues. So again, our legislative committee, just for your information, for many folks who may not know this, is, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, group of individuals in the state with an extreme expertise on issues related to policy. We have individuals with policy experience on tax and on education, environmental issues, air quality, water, and a variety of other areas in the manufacturing sector. And so that group of 25 to 30 individuals meets weekly, representing every aspect of manufacturing, from outdoor products to food manufacturers to aerospace, defense, medical device, general manufacturing, any of those areas, and reads those bills, looks through them, addresses them, evaluates them, and then as a group, we help determine where we are on those bills based on what our positions are as an organization through our board of directors. So grateful to that group of folks who are actively involved with us reviewing bills. It allows us to be experts on a variety of different areas legislatively which impact the manufacturing community. So maybe I'll start off with a couple of areas of what we're focusing on. Obviously, budget is an important issue for us in the state. Coming out of the pandemic and looking at both funds from a federal standpoint that were given to the state for CARES Act and for federal funding dealing with the pandemic and COVID, as well as the state budget. We follow those issues very regularly and watch them very closely. So you have the governor's proposal on budget, and then you also have the House and the Senate that come together on the actual budget throughout the year. And so I want to talk just a little bit about a couple of those things. One is the focus on a tax cut this year in something that we believe is in the benefit of the manufacturing community, small business owners and families. one of the suggestions is to use $80 million in ongoing surplus and do that to cut Social Security and military retirement benefits. That'd be $43 million of those dollars, run by several legislators up on the Hill. Representative Perucci, Representative Brooks, and Senator Harper are looking at that issue. And then the other portion is to restore more of the remaining dependent exemption that was changed in the 2017 federal tax reform piece, and that'd be $37 million, and that's a big impact to Utah families, especially considering the number of dependents, that normally Utah families tend to have. And that would be on the ongoing side. So an $80 million tax cut on that is what we're thinking is a good direction. And then secondly is use part of the $1.024 billion in one-time surplus and use that to cut the personal and the corporate income tax rate from 4.95 down to 4.75, which is about a $260 million tax cut for 2021 and 2022, and then make that cut permanent through some state revenues in the general fund education to continue that tax cut. So just a couple of areas there. Throughout the legislative session, we'll be doing these on the Hill updates every Friday, and I'll have a variety of different guests who will be joining me throughout the session. We anticipate having a number of different groups participating with us. The Utah Taxpayers Association I've invited to come in and talk about tax policy and talk about some of the things we just mentioned in tax cuts and relief. We're going to talk about budget and bring in some of our colleagues and friends from the organization. Some members of our legislative committee I've invited to participate with us. We're going to talk about education funding. I'm going to talk about what we need to do there to try and help bring some more money to our teachers. Governor Cox addressed that last night in his State of the State, and certainly something that we as a manufacturing community think is important. Workforce talent acquisition, talent retention, finding the right workers with the right skill set, technical expertise in manufacturing is critical to us being able to continue to grow the economy and to be a significant player as manufacturers in the state. Again, we'll talk about air quality. I have the privilege of serving as the chair of the Air Quality Policy Advisory Board, and as that board will be reviewing a broad range of air quality legislation that will come before the legislature, and we invite many of the legislators throughout the session to come in, present their ideas, and we as an organization, or a board rather, look at those and help those legislators draft legislation that is meaningful and effective in scope and helps us do what we need to do on air quality and PM 2.5 and particulate matter as it pertains to our statewide implementation plan for air quality. Again, we'll talk about many of those different areas. As always, we've got a lot of focus on business policy. We'll be looking at issues related to unemployment, to our unemployment insurance fund, which we as an organization sit on that board. We'll be looking at insurance for workers' comp policies, for other types of issues that many of our folks may think don't necessarily pertain to manufacturing, but all of these issues legislatively have an impact on manufacturing and on manufacturers. And so we watch those things. Again, we anticipate, as usual throughout the year, we will track somewhere in the neighborhood of 120 to 150 bills that are drafted and run through this session. It could be a very interesting session from a pandemic standpoint and COVID testing that we're going through as lobbyists to go up on the Hill and participate. There has been already a little bit of outbreak up with some of the interns and a couple of legislators up on Capitol Hill, and so we will do our best to social distance and to wear our masks and be careful in what we're doing there, but also in our task and our mission as an organization to focus on governmental affairs and on ensuring a business climate that's effective for manufacturers. So we'll watch those things very closely. Again, I encourage you throughout the session to go take a look at the bills that we're tracking. As I mentioned, those will be on the link with this this podcast you're watching, videocast, as well as on our website. You'll be able to click on those, click on the bill, see who the sponsor is, and we anticipate an ability for you as manufacturers to reach out to your companies and to express areas of either concern or support in looking at how we address that. So thank you so much for joining us for this inaugural version and edition of UMA on the Hill. Look forward to visiting with each of you throughout this session. And as the Manufacturers Association, again, our mission to strengthen and connect Utah's makers. We look forward to future editions of this, future conversations about governmental affairs in the legislature, and addressing your concerns as manufacturers. Keep making wonderful products, keep focusing on those things that drive the economy, and thank you for helping Utah focus on manufacturing. What Utah makes Utah. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend.